All right, thanks everybody for coming out. So this is our our round two for the evening, second event, second coffee of the day, and we are hanging out with Mr. William Scott Dykes, who's of course running for judge, 21st JDC Division D seat. Thank you so much for coming out. I definitely appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so basically we start these things with a little Q&A between
Okay.
us, then you get to chat with the folks that showed up tonight.
Sounds great.
So first things first, little introductions, biography.
William Scott Dykes from Montpelier, Louisiana, small little town in Livingston Parish. Grew up there working on my family's farm and working for the business, which is Dykes Feed, Seed, and Fertilizer. It was an interesting way to grow up, always working on something. We either throwing feed sacks, hay bales, round baling, catching cattle. You stay pretty busy to be out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But I went to school from kindergarten through 12th grade at Oak Forest Academy in Amy, Louisiana, which is in Tangipahoa Parish, even though I lived in Montpelier. During that time, it was a nice little area to hang out in Amy. It wasn't quite as bustling as it is today.
Sure.
I don't even think we had a grocery store. We had to drive to Baton Rouge just about to get a lot of groceries.
Yeah.
Or Hammond. And then after I graduated Oak Forest, we went to Southeastern. Graduated there in criminal justice in '97. My father had open heart surgery. I was planning to go straight into law school, but had to stay and actually try and run the family business, at least part of it. And that was a life changer there. First off, you got to worry about someone being in the hospital, but you can't even be there because you got to take care of cattle, cut hay, bale hay, and run a business all at the same time. And I'd never had to do anything like that before. I'd always just been the manual labor.
Sure.
So it was a tough but a great experience now. I look back on it because it taught me a lot. Then after that, about a year, then I went to law school in Baton Rouge at Southern University. Walked in the door not knowing what to expect, and saw two friends that I've known my entire life there. So it started off on a good note, and never looked back. Enjoyed it. Then after graduating, actually in my third year of law school, I came to work in Denham Springs at Pittman Law Firm, and I clerked there till I got my degree, and then passed the bar and got sworn in, and then I started practicing law there. After practicing law for a few years, I moved up from just an associate to a junior partner, then a partner. Then I met my wife, easier, and it was time. She taught at Southeastern, and I said, well, time to move to Hammond, and we moved there. We were married, had a kid, and so I got tired of driving back and forth to Denham, so it's time to go off on my own. So opened my own law office there, and after that, I went to work for the 21st JDC as public defender. Spent 12 years doing that, and I actually followed Judge Doug Hughes around from Tangipahoa to Livingston, and I was his public defender for a few years, and then they moved me around to just Livingston, so I worked in just Livingston for a couple of years, and then they moved me to St. Helena, so I was St. Helena's public defender. During that time, I mostly did felony cases, but we did all kinds of cases. It became in that division, we handled it. So.
Sure. So yeah, that sounds kind of sort of a great intro to the seat that you're running for, of course.
It is, because when I was at Eric's office, we represented all kind of civil stuff, and it was successions. We represented political, entities. I think it was some sheriff department, maybe trying to remember what all it was, volunteer fire departments, fire districts, just a lot of different things in a lot of different areas. We did real estate law, We did successions, contracts, personal injury,
Yeah.
criminal defense. I mean, a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Whole lot of stuff I know nothing about.
well, and I continued to do all the civil work once I started working at the public defender's office, which is a great thing about working there. They allow you to work on the side. So
Sure.
you know.
Well, so you've kind of gotten a great snapshot of the role of judge behind the bench. So what do you think, kind of outside of the courtroom, away from the bench, what is the role of a judge in the community at large?
Well, one thing is to lead by example, show people exactly, do things that show people the right way to live. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that don't have anyone to look up to. And education's another great thing. I think if it's nothing else, just educate people on the judicial system itself. A lot of people aren't quite familiar with it. Probably a good thing.
Sure.
They've never been in trouble, or no one's ever sued them, or never been in an accident, never needed an attorney, and one day they need one, and they don't know where to look, who to trust, or what the process is. So it's, I think that judges may be able to kind of help in that way, and then also a lot of people are real nervous about going to court.
Right.
So, if there's a way to kind of relieve that nervousness where they're not quite so bad, I think it would help a lot.
Yeah, cut the tension, absolutely. So aside from personal experience and issues of character, what do you think is the most important legal principle or philosophical principle that an average voter should keep in mind when casting their vote for a judge?
Well, I mean, a lot of people may say party and things like that, but really, I don't care what party you are, as long as you follow the Constitution and the rule of law, because that's what we're supposed to do as judges. We're not there to, change the law or, legislate from the bench is a new term you hear a lot, but really that just means you're supposed to follow the law as it's written. If you don't like the law, go to the legislature. That's not our job to change it.
Sure. Well, on that note, kind of, it is the legislature's job, and so there has been a lot of back and forth over the past several years about different criminal justice reform issues. In your experience, what would be one of the most pressing issues that the legislature could take up that would improve the system for everybody?
Well, they changed probation from 5 years to 3 years. A lot of people thought that would be great. I mean, it's caused problems that they didn't foresee.
Mm-hmm.
Judges now are more likely to lock somebody up if they owe a lot of money because they can't pay it in 3 years. So what some judges would do is make you wait, push it off a little way, see if you can save up some money to pay that restitution back, and if you can build it up, then they're more likely to put you on probation. Well, I mean, if you can't pay it back, then you might end up going to jail, even though it's a first-time offense, because it's such a short time. And they've really changed a lot of the regulations on rules on how a judge can continue probation and things like that, and what they can revoke people for. And so by doing that, the judges have less, less tools to use to try and make people pay back restitution. And so more people probably go to jail now on crimes they wouldn't have went before because of that reason. So that's something I believe they really need to look at. And I know they are, but I mean, it's just a tough deal.
Right. Yeah, and something that firsthand experience that you see every day.
Absolutely.
That can be improved.
Yeah, and it also, it'll back up cases, so that makes dockets look longer and things like that as well. And somebody that may have been offered probation, in 3 or 4 years, now they might have to wait a year or so before they even get on probation. So
okay, yeah. Well, public defender for 12 years, you said?
Yes.
And so you've had a great firsthand look at the seat that you're running for.
Absolutely.
It's been occupied for about 25 years, is
Yes.
that right? So how has it changed over the past 25 years, and how do you think it's going to change over the next 25 years?
Well, I mean, as far as change, Judge Dykes, Hughes, I'm sorry, had a pretty good, he was a great guy, just
Yeah.
wonderful. He was fun to show up to court with. He always had good stories, always in a good mood. He never let one case affect the other. And, that was pretty constant. So I didn't see a whole lot of change. I know when they changed from 8 judges to 6, the dockets went a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
But to be quite honest, it was really back to where when I started. So, because we had actually reduced a lot, just working hard and working with the DAs and the judge and being prepared, go to court, have everything ready, and so we lowered it. But then it went back up, of course, when we went to 6 judges instead of 8, because 2 of the judges went to family court. Well, I foresee, I guess, one of the changes would be that they're going to eventually have more judges. So.
Okay. Well, going back to kind of the rules of the game,
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of speculation. That there's going to be a new legislature coming in with a whole lot of new faces. There's a lot of speculation that there may be a new constitutional convention called. What do you think, in your view? Do you think judges should remain elected, or do you think they should be appointed if everything gets thrown out the window and the rules get changed?
I see the positive and negatives of both.
Sure.
But one of the biggest positives of election and having judges elected is anybody that has, that practices law, has a bar license in Louisiana, can run for judge as long as you practice the requisite amount of time. And so that means they're not just hand-picked from a few people, so you have the same ones over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
That's so as long as it's a fair, it's a lot more, fair for everyone that's involved to be able to elect who you want than it is for somebody to just pick it.
Okay. Well, I've got just one more question for you, and it comes from our job application here at the bookstore. And of course, it involves books. So give us 2 books that have most influenced your life, one fiction and one nonfiction.
The Bible, obviously, when I was about 12 years old, I had a great friend, and we used to, he introduced me, and I'm not going to say introduced me to the Bible, but I reading it every night. Something, we made games out of it, reading things like that. So that friendship and reading the Bible really changed my life at that time, and probably kept me out of a lot of trouble and mischief.
Sure.
But
Still friends with that guy?
actually, he passed away.
Oh,
So yeah, he got leukemia when he was about 15 and passed away. So.
Yeah.
But it's something that stayed with me the rest of my life. And then Louis L'Amour is a great author. I'd say The Sackets. Love it.
Awesome.
It's if you read it, and all of them, which I've done every one of them, and if they mention a Sackett in it, I've read that book. And then most of the characters that they're in it, I've read those books in the last 2 years. So I've read a ton of books.
He's on the same page with you. He does all the Louis L'Amour.
Well, I've read a ton of them. I have a place in my closet that's so full that we don't have anywhere else to put them. Our book cabinets are full. So but I won't get rid of them.
Yeah.
And I love, because if you start on it, it's when they first came to America all the way up to the 1900s.
Yeah.
And it talks about law, and it really tells you about how some people try to take advantage of the law and use it for personal gain, and then how others are band together to do what's right. And so it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great to have a series that you can really get into. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming out, having coffee with us, and I'll turn you loose to chat with everybody.
Well, thank you.
Thanks now.